Hello, I'm Wendy Burton, entrepreneur, author of the award-winning book Amy and the Angels, and host of the podcast Winging It with Wendy. Real people, real stories, and real angels. Do you ever feel like you're going through life and you're just winging it? We don't know what's coming, and we sometimes don't know how to deal with it. But I want you to know you are not doing it alone. We have what I like to call celestial BFFs that are actually walking this path with us at all times. Each episode, I will be sharing real life exciting stories from my life and from you, the listener. I invite you to participate with an open mind and experience the magic of angels in your life. Welcome to my home and Winging It with Wendy. How I first met my angels was probably at one of the lowest points of my life. And I think we've all been there where we're like down on our knees, we're crying, we're upset, we're yelling at the powers that be that they need to show up right now because we need support, we need help. Well, that was at the time of my life where I had literally no money in the bank. I, believe it or not, was a real estate agent. No deals had closed. And I had two young boys that were living in the next town with their father because they said they liked the hockey there better. But one of the things that I always promised to do as a mom is to always show up at their hockey games and always be there when they needed me. And it wasn't it was like a 30, 45-minute drive. And this is the day that I'm supposed to go pick them up right after their hockey game, take them to lunch, spend the day with them, and come back. The problem is that I only had $5 to my name. And I didn't know how I was going to get all the way to their town. Cars on empty, by the way. And so I had spent the night before, yelling and screaming, and woke up in the morning, eyes all puffy. And then all of a sudden I just sat on the couch and just a calm came over to me. And I was just like, you know what? I surrender. I give it up. You got to figure this out. You've got to figure this out for me. And I remember looking up and saying, okay, I'm going. So I went to the gas station with my $5 and actually kind of embarrassed. I pull up to the pump and I've got to walk in and give them just $5 and tell them to put that in the tank. And I remember feeling embarrassed, humiliated or something. But when I went in, I said, could I have $5 on pump 8? And then all of a sudden there's like these bells went off and it was just like a racket. And the girl behind the till looked at me and she goes, oh, congratulations. She said, you're our 100th customer. It was a brand new gas station. And I was so thrilled because I only had enough money to get to this brand new gas station. And I'm their 100th customer. And I was like, oh, wow, that's awesome. Thank you. And she says, so you get prizes. I'm like, what? She goes, yeah, you get a free tank of gas, gift certificate for a family-sized bucket of Kentucky Fried Chicken. We're talking like chicken and potato salad and all the fixins, the French fries, even 2 liters of Coke, and a chocolate cake. Well, many of you may know back in the day, to come home to your children with Kentucky Fried Chicken, you are Mom of the Year. And so I was and the guy's out there, he's filling my car up with gas and washing the windshield. And I'm just like, what? This is amazing. So off I went and I'm driving to see the kids and I'm like, this is not a coincidence. There's something somebody heard me. And that's what I believe. Somebody heard me. So if somebody heard me, that means I can talk to them. And I have to figure out a way to talk to them to get proof. besides this one miracle, as far as I'm concerned, that just happened. I've got to figure it out. And so I picked up the boys, and yes, they were thrilled. And even in that day, I want to share one more magical moment that happened when I picked the boys up. All of a sudden, it just starts to rain, and we drove to the top of this mountain, and the rain started. We're talking torrential rains. So in my car, like the bucket seats went all the way down. And so we, spread out a blanket inside the car, seats all down. It was sort of like when the kids were little and we would have like blanket forts. So we had a blanket fort inside the car, and we got the Kentucky Fried Chicken and everything all laid out, and we talked about our week. And then we looked out the window, and there was this amazing light, just a beam of light in all of that rain. And there's this little tiny yellow bird singing its little heart out. And we sat there totally amazed. And it was so clear to me. By the way, I will share again that maybe the next episode, the kids, when I retired from my company, World Tree Technologies, they got me a picture of a little yellow bird on a branch with rain all around. And they gave it to me as a gift. Makes me want to cry actually right now when I think about it. I could go get it right now, but I think I'll save it for the next episode. I'll bring it. Okay. So anyways, on my way home, I had to figure out there's got to be a way that I can communicate with them. And you know what? This was new to me. I hadn't experienced this level of miraculous transformation over a request that I had made of the universe, or what I actually believe to be my angels. So when I got home, the only way I knew how to do it was to meditate. And I really hadn't meditated. I was reading some very cool books at the time, the Celestine Prophecy, Conversations with God. So I was already kind of in that exploratory belief that maybe there might be something else. And then that day I had proof. So the next morning I got up early and I sat there and I meditated, and I was like, okay, I believe that you're there. And if you are there, if like I have a guardian angel, I'd like you to tell me your name. And you know that voice, that one that we have that we think it's us talking, but sometimes it doesn't feel like it's us talking. Am I the only one that happens to? But I said, what's your name? Can you tell me your name? And all of a sudden, Tilly, I don't have a Tilly. I don't know a Tilly. I don't have any relatives that I'm even remotely, believe that there's like an ancestor that's a Tilly. One of these days I need to go look at that though. And so I started to have this conversation. So, okay, your name is Tilly. I'm going to call you Tilly. And I want to know if you're real. And then all of a sudden I heard, ask us 3 things. Ask you 3 things. Okay. What are 3 things that you would want more than anything in the whole wide world? And if we brought this to you, would you believe us that we're real? And I remember going, am I talking to myself? Is somebody talking to me, through me? But there's 3 things. And it was just a knowing that it had to be something that was significant, not just like, I want to win the lottery. I want to, it wasn't something like that. It was something that I had to be very, very clear on what I asked. And I also knew that it needed to be 3 things. Because from what I understand, the first thing, almost like what happened, that day, is it felt a lot like a coincidence. I'd asked for something, I cried, and then this miracle happened. That's just a coincidence. It's what we might call synchronicity. It might be called, just really good luck. We often, pass something off as just dumb good luck. But this feels more than just dumb good luck. So I actually took, believe it or not, about 10 days and wandered around my life looking for what I really wanted. And it was clear that it needed to be like a tangible. It needed to be something that possibly I could hold, that I could experience, that I could go, okay, so the first thing was it had to be more than one thing, because in the second time that something happens, then you go, okay, maybe this isn't a coincidence. Maybe somebody, in fact, is talking to me and hearing me and providing what I've requested. That's why it has to be three things. So it's really important when you're testing this out for yourself to make sure you find three things that you really want more than anything. And don't make them big. Make them just weird. Make them just like crazy weird. Make them, if it's like a purple feather on the back of a clown car on a rabbit. If that shows up, would you believe it? Right? It's got to be that crazy. And the third thing will have you go, oh my God, that showed up. So I spent, oh my goodness, it must have been about 10 days. And I walked around. And so the very first one that showed that I decided that I was asking my angels for, I was one day vacuuming my house, and I didn't have a stereo system. In fact, it was, do you guys remember when, I think it was called CMT. It was like the country music television, like with all those country, artists, it's when the videos first came out. And that was my music, by the way. That was my stereo. So I would turn the TV on with CMT and crank the music. And I turned off the vacuum cleaner. And this song came on that I'd never heard of this artist before. And it was the most, like, I'm getting goosies right now thinking about this. And it was an artist by the name of John Barry. And oh my goodness, what was the name? The name of the song, I'll think of it. It'll pop into my head. But this song was so beautiful that I just went, okay, angels. And I said it out loud, angels, this is what I want. I want to see John Barry in concert live. But I want the tickets to be given to me for free because I don't have the money. And I want them to be a gift. I want somebody to give me these, and they have to be like VIP tickets. So that was my first request. So I wrote it down, and there was something about the request, and maybe it was because I had already received the Kentucky Fried Chicken bucket and the gas and all that. It felt really strong in me to say thank you. Like, thank you, angels. Like, all of a sudden, I'm excited that I'm actually going to go see John Barry in concert. Like, I know this is true. So I'm like, thank you, angels. And it's like, that saying when you order something from the catalog or you order something from Amazon. I say a catalog because we used to. When you order something from Amazon and you know it's showing up because you order it. You don't go the next day and ask for it again and order it again and keep ordering the same thing. You order it once. You get excited about it showing up. And that was the experience that I knew that I had. So then it was several days later, my second request. I was getting ready to go out that evening with a girlfriend of mine. And again, looking at in my closet, I have nothing to wear. I don't know. And many of you women, maybe some of you men too, can experience this of like, I've got a closet full of stuff, nothing to wear. And what I really wanted was a pair of jeans. I wanted they had to be they had to be new to me. They didn't necessarily need to be brand new, but I wanted a new pair of jeans. They still had to have the tags on them, like they'd never been worn before. And I wanted them to feel like butter. When I put them on, they just felt like they were made for me, and they were soft, and damn, I looked good in them. And that's what I wanted. I wanted a pair of jeans that I didn't have to pay for. I don't know if you guys are noticing a theme here, but everything is free. As a single mom at the time, that was very important. And so that was my second. That's what I asked. And I wrote it down and I said, thank you. And I was absolutely stoked. Then I was just at the time transitioning from no longer being a real estate agent because the stock market was luring me away. And I felt that I could take more control of my future if I got involved in the stock market, by the way, which is something that always have fascinated me. Although I didn't have the schooling for it, so I didn't know how it was going to happen. But circumstances, and now I believe, of course, having spent many of years counting on my angels, I now know all the steps, which I won't get into on this episode, of how, you get led down a path by things that show up that move you in the direction of where you want to go. And I wanted to know about the stock market and stuff like that. And so I had met a bunch of people who were launching a new company, and I had been instrumental in actually raising some seed capital for them to take this company public. And one day they called me, and they were down on the lake on a boat. I was doing an open house for by the way, I was a Century 21 real estate agent at the time. Loved my gold jacket, just to be clear. And these guys were all on this big, beautiful yacht. They called me and they said, does this house that you are in right now, I believe it's the one with the telescope, yes? Could you just take a look at us on the lake? And I'd never touched this thing before. But anyways, I got on this telescope and I could see them all partying. And they were like, we don't understand why you are at an open house when you could be partying with us on the lake. Why aren't you doing like stock promotion for a living? And I was like, yeah, like, why am I not? And then after I hung up the phone, I took the telescope, and then all of a sudden I'm now looking. No, I don't have any voyeurism. I don't even know how to ever say that word. But it was so cool to look so far out there in the world. There was something about seeing my future that landed for me. And that was what I wanted my third gift to be. I wanted a telescope for myself. I've always been fascinated by them, but it didn't have to be brand new. I felt I was asking for too much brand new. It didn't have to be brand new, but it still had to be in the box. And that was really important. And it had to be double hands. I wanted it to be placed in front of me, because remember, you got to ask for specific stuff. It was placed in front of me, and the gift was, this telescope is yours to keep. And that was my third. So I put it out there to my angels. Thank you very much. And those were my three gifts. Now, I'm not sure the timing that we have today, but what I will say is that all three of those stories and the way they unfolded in my life was absolutely miraculous. And I think I might like to save those three stories for our next episode. So what I'd really like to do is welcome you back to Winging It with Wendy so that you can hear how 3 magical events happened in my life that came directly from my angels. What I'd like to say is that make sure you follow us, subscribe on all of our social platforms. Down below, apparently there is show notes that will have all of the stuff that you need. But I also want to invite you all to share with me some of your angel stories. So the link will be below how you'll be able to get in contact with us. Please share those stories so that we can all experience how many angels that are actually affecting all of our lives. So thank you very much. I appreciate it and have a fantastic week.